just receive. 'Cause what he's pouring out is nothing you've ever seen. You've ever seen. So hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope. It's a new rise. Hello peace, hello joy, hello love, hello strength, hello hope. It's a new horizon. If you're ready for a break.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. I'm Megan DiMartino, and tonight is the Propel Deep Dive. And I am so excited to have my special guest, DoraMaria Abreu, who is the chief cook and bottle washer and everything to Breakfast with Champions, the amazing one and only. I don't think that's really complimentary, I don't think, chief cook and bottle washer, but that.
I'll take
Remember,
it.
we used to say that, like she's a bag of chips and all that, and you're chief cook and bottle washer. So you are everything, and I am so thankful that you're here at the
Thank you. Thank
Deep
you.
Dive. You good?
Thank you so much, Megan. Yeah, I think we're good. Is
Good.
my mic working and all that?
It's perfect.
Excellent. Awesome.
Mhm.
Thanks. And thanks for having me. This is really, really, I love that opening song. It's very calming. Definitely calming as well. So,
Well, I heard that, Dora, about 2 months ago. I was speaking at a conference in Little Rock, Arkansas, the same weekend that Christina did her event, and that's why I wasn't there. But they opened the conference with that song, and it
beautiful.
just so resonated with me about the fruits of the Holy Spirit: peace,
Yeah.
joy, love, hope, and strength. And I said, wow, what a great song. And essentially, that's what I'm trying to convey with the Propel Deep Dive. It's part of the Propel Your Business and Life Activation Program, of course, working with the 5 C's: clarity, courage, confidence, commitment, and compassion. But I decided early in the year to break those down and come on every Thursday night. So I started in February and I did what I called the month of love, but it was just me and I was speaking to each C. And people enjoyed it. And I said, but I would enjoy it far more if I had a guest with me. And so then I said, okay. And so the first week was TM, and we were off and running. So it's been, great fun, and just also, I don't have my workbook from the program with me because I don't want it to be about that. I want to speak about each C and where you're coming from with it and where our guests are coming from it. I don't see anyone in here yet. And Angeline, I'm sure, is inviting people in, that have been here pretty much every week, and new people come all the time. We're also streaming into YouTube, and we're in the Propel Business Facebook group. And then we do have a Clubhouse Propel room that she's sending it into as well. So and then we have it also just, replaying. So it'll get out there. But today on Clubhouse, and I know you weren't in the room because I mentioned you were coming, but it was Jude's room. And she, when she was speaking about, basically what she speaks about often, about business and, behavior type of, propriety and working, with her Colby and all that. But I wanted to invite people to come tonight, and I mentioned the word confidence. I meant, because that's what we're talking about tonight. Well, she got all over that, in that she was talking about how she works with C-suite executives and how often these C-suite executives share with her, after working with her, thank you, that helped with my confidence. She said, I hear it all the time, where you would perceive that confidence preceded them, and that it's really a challenge for many people, with for so many reasons. But that's why, to me, and we did this last week, courage, because that courage goes to me. They go hand in glove to me, but courage in the five C's goes before confidence, because you have to build that courage, and stare that lion in the face and work through things that then help you build your confidence. So what, just share what, that the word confidence though means to you.
Okay, well, confidence to me is definitely like one, getting on stages, being on this stage, being able to speak without second guessing yourself and not stuttering or having that fear that overwhelms a lot of speakers. And I didn't speak up a lot because when I grew up learning another language first. So I learned Spanish first before I learned English, because no one was really fluent in my house. And even though I was born and raised, I'm a New York City girl, like I just was literally battling two cultures, two languages. And so when I went to school, I wasn't really a conforming person. Like I was like, well, that's not what they do in my house. So, you stay the course. And I just learned to be quiet. I learned to be invisible. I learned to blend in so not to attract attention. Because when I didn't know a word in English, I would just put an O at the end of the Spanish word and magically, voila, an English word. And then I did the same for Spanish. So I was an equal opportunity maker upper of words. And after a while, like they was like, that's not a word. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I talk pretty fast. So I'm like, for them to catch it, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna be quiet. So I learned to be quiet, Megan. I didn't raise my hand in class. I was very fearful. I was very like, and that's confidence. Like confidence, it's a muscle you build. And I have to agree with you in the courage part, because it takes courage to get above that fear of the humiliation and
Right.
just being wrong and not looking like you know something in front of everyone. You dive into that fear a lot more, and you need to build that courageous muscle so that then you can build that confidence muscle. And in that space, I've done it even in my work life. My work life is I've worked a lot in male, well, not a lot, it's been my whole career like in male dominated fields. And to always be challenged that you know something, and it's like, no, I deserve to have a seat at this table. And then
Mhm.
you learn to be defensive, and then you start learning fear again. So it was almost like I was afraid to go into the office. I'm like, oh, here comes another meeting, I'm going to get grilled. I'm like, all the things. And you start listening to that voice. No, you can't, what are you doing here, da 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 da. And then the other voice is saying, no, you deserve a seat at this table, fight for your seat. And it's like that inner battle that wears that confidence down. So you go back to courage and you start building the courage up again.
Yeah.
So I've seen my life where I've done the ins and outs of that.
How did you, yeah, and I'm listening to you, and it's the quintessence of that, like you said, that battle, but you
Mhm.
can't, you just don't go from clarity, like, oh, I want to start a business. Oh, goody. Oh, let's start a business. Oh, yes. And then have that confidence to do it, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
just don't go from one to the other. And probably the courage and confidence come even before the start,
Yeah.
I mean, they really are hand in glove working together. But sharing what you shared a bit ago about as a small gal, growing up in New York in a multicultural city, and parents speaking most, I guess, all the time at home, yes,
Yes.
Spanish. Um, so, how did you, Dora? How did you go from obviously you were a very good student, and obviously you, like you just said, you towed the line, you did things right, so to speak. You didn't ruffle feathers. You were a good person.
Mhm.
Listen, where'd we go? Oh, there we are. But how did you, in staying on some level of the lines of courage and confidence, how did you get the chutzpah, a New York word there, Yiddish word? I said multicultural, right? Where did you get that confidence, and from a courage but a confidence place, And where did you go to college? Where did you start your college years?
So I started college over in Stony Brook, and that was a battle in itself. My father did not want me to go to school, like traveling into the city or going away to college. So he wanted me literally to go to school like down the block, I guess, from his house. But at the end of the day, they ended up moving back to the Dominican Republic for a spell, and then they moved to Florida. But in the middle of all that, like they wanted me to tag along. Like in our culture, unless you're married, you don't leave your house. So
Mm.
he was just like, "Where are you going? You're not married." And it was just like, "Well, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna stay here." And
Wow.
so that became a whole family battle. And to see, like, especially my father's oldest brother fight for me, I started to develop that muscle of like, you know what, he fought for me. I can't let that go to it can't be in vain, his efforts, like to get me
Mhm.
to do what I wanted to do and to help me. I had to like make sure that I stepped up there. And then when I started high school and college, we were always a very philanthropic family. Like we went to church, we gave with UNICEF, like we were always giving in the community. And for me, I got really deep in that space, like always giving back, always involved in anything philanthropic on campus, like doing all the things. And because of that is how I built my courage to speak up, because I wasn't speaking up for myself, I was speaking up for other people.
Ah,
And so in helping others, you start developing that muscle. I didn't know I was doing that. But
mhm.
as time went on, I was developing myself as I didn't even realize I was being that leader. People would turn around, they were like, you should really do this because you're amazing. You just everyone just gravitates towards your energy, and like
Mhm.
no one says no to you. Like every time we have an effort or initiative, like it just happens. People come because you're driving it. And I also speak very passionately when I really believe in something. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, we have to help these people. And we had a fire on campus, and these students in their suite lost everything. It was a freak fire. They were cooking with those little teeny weeny stove, and the spark ended up catching on a curtain. And then the student freaked out and left the suite. And I'm just like, yeah, that's why the whole suite caught fire, because they could have doused it right there. But you can't second guess that. Like I've had experience with fire as a kid. Like we were in a fire, so we knew how to get out of it and douse the fire. But people, you panic first. You don't really think logically when something like that happens. You see fire, you just bolt. So the suite lost everything. So we were like fundraising for those students. And again, when you're doing something for someone else, you start developing skills that you don't even know you're developing, because you're doing it because you really care about this other person. You really want them to really bounce back. I mean, these students lost everything, their books, their clothes, like everything's
Wow.
gone. So anyway, in campus, it really just shaped me.
Mhm.
And I always led with that. I always led with, okay, how is everybody doing? How's everyone dealing with everything this week? How's everything happening? How's school going? How are the exams going? Like, mental check first. Let's see how everyone's heart is. Let's see where their mind is. Okay, now we can get back to business. Let's go through the agenda. Let's move forward. So it helped me to really develop that confidence in, like, just connecting with people.
Yes, yes, I can see it. And so with that, I'm thinking like the folks went back to Dominican Republic. So you lived on campus then?
They left me at my cousin's house. And
Okay.
after a semester of like juggling all the things, because I was taking care of my brothers who were in high school, a cousin of mine that was in college with me, because it's because of him that my uncle fought for me to go there. And I'm driving back and forth, doing all the things, getting up at the crack of dawn to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them. And it was just like, you know what? I'm moving on campus. And that became another like family
Yeah,
ordeal, because how
yes.
dare you move on your own? You're not married. You leave this house when you're married. And it was just like, oh, okay. But in the meantime, I'm gonna move on campus, because even though we were living out in Long Island, it was so far from Stony Brook.
Oh,
So every
yeah.
time there was a snowstorm or something, it would take me 2 or 3 hours just to get there, and then another 2 or 3 hours to get back. And I'm like, this is insane. Crazy people do this. I can't keep doing this. And then I kept getting stranded in the middle of the highway. There's no
Right,
street
right.
signs. There was no, back in those days, there wasn't even like a lot of phones out there, or
No.
signal for that matter. You're in the middle of nowhere, and you finally find like back then we had payphones. So like, payphone. And then you call, and my brother's like yelling at me, like, where are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the middle of nowhere. What does the sign say? Look at the sign. And I'm like, it says one way. So it was just like those types of conversations. And I was like, that's it. I'm moving on campus. And then what that became another, every time I called my parents, it was just like, so when are you going to go and move out of campus? Because that is not what you're supposed to be doing. And like, I don't even know what they thought I was doing on campus. I'm like the biggest nerd on campus, and you think I'm doing something
Right.
nefarious or something. So it got comical after a while. So,
But one
but
thing I
yeah,
do want to share with our guests is that, I grew up on Long Island, and, I lived in my young years, I lived in Nassau County, Freeport, and then over
okay,
in Glen Head, Glen Cove area. And then years later, when I went back to Long Island to work with my family's business, which was in Shirley, near Patchogue.
yeah,
I'm going to tie this together for you folks. I'm just filling this in with Adora. But what people don't understand is Long Island is long,
long,
long. And, they think of it as
yeah,
Archie Bunker, like it all looks like that. You're talking about, right, with no street signs and so forth.
yes.
It's long. And back, I'm sure back when, what years were these that you were there?
I was in college in '86 through '90. So
Okay.
like,
So
yeah,
yes, yes. So folks, there were a lot of farms still on Long Island, and so
yeah,
it's long. So that's what she's talking about when she's taking care of the kids. When her parents were in Dominican Republic, it was like a 2-hour drive in traffic.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It was the longest semester of my life.
Wow,
But
wow.
you make it happen, and then you start changing things up for yourself and making decisions, and then I literally had to tell my dad, I'm like, I don't know what you think I'm doing, but
Yeah,
this
right.
is what I'm getting this done. And he didn't pay for college for me, so that was another
Wow.
angle for me to say, well, you're not paying, I'm paying, so I can
Mhm.
do what I think is best. So and we took it from there. But it's yeah,
But
I
folks,
don't,
I
you
just
know,
want to, impress upon people this story is if you think about everything that Dora has just shared, these are the experiences that have built her courage and then her confidence because she
yeah,
lived through really lived through. I mean, she spoke about dorm fires, taking care of the gang in the suite. Luckily, she was not part of that, but she was part of it because she cares. And so, but she was also holding down her academic life and then taking care of her siblings. Goodness gracious. So, chief cook and bottle washer is really the appropriate, description. So now I just want to look here because I can't see without glasses. So I was
Hello.
just going to say hello, my love. Why don't you join us?
Hi, Dora. Yes,
hi there.
we have Tanya Torellis in the audience. She is listening in. She had a question. She said Stony Brook question mark. Were you guys talking about Stony Brook?
Stony
And
Brook, Long Island.
Yeah. I
Stony
went to
Brook,
Stony
Long
Brook University out in Long
Island.
Island. I did my undergrad and my graduate work there. So it wasn't by choice. I literally applied in April of my senior year. I was like obligated to apply there. It was like the only school my father would even allow me to go to. It was yeah, it was one of those. I didn't have rights in those days, and I said, you know what? If I make it into the school, I'm just gonna stay here, and that became the
Home.
family battle. My grandparents were involved. I mean, yeah, it was just like one of those things where everyone in the household had something to say about my life. So
that
I laugh about it now, but I wasn't crying. I was crying back then.
oh,
So you finished so you did your graduate work there as well, you just said. So you did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that became really home for quite a while then.
No,
And then,
I developed a really strong community because people still know me there, and it's very interesting how just that helped me to develop as a person. But I also went. My father forced me because it wasn't like I wanted to go there. I grew up in the movie Fame came out, and I wanted to go to that high school because they had fun. And I was like, I want to have that kind of fun. So I'm going there. And I was forced to go to an old girl Catholic school. And so for me, it was like I was devastated. And then when I got to high school, I got to see some of my friends that I knew since kindergarten. And so I just was just like over the moon, like, oh my goodness, I still have friends here. I made some new ones. And then it was just like what really shaped my
Mhm.
courage and my strength and just being able to like, just be my own person because I wasn't there wasn't like the boy factor in the school one, so you weren't really competing with any of that. And so high school really shaped me, so when I went to college, it
Mhm.
wasn't that much of a shell shocker, except for the fact that it was a huge school and all
Right.
the things. And I'm coming from a small, all girl high school, but it really helped to just give me that
Mhm.
confidence that when I landed in Stony Brook, I was able to like you know find my grounding a little bit better.
Mhm. Stony Brook is part of the New York State
Yeah,
college
SUNY.
system,
Hmm.
yeah, the
Hmm.
SUNY. So it's a great school and very, very, very well known. So after the graduate program, and I see Melody here. She doesn't want to come on. Ask her to join us and speak with Dora. But anyhow, after finishing grad school, what job did you take at
So
that
for
time?
me, that's why I ended up doing a master's almost right away when I was in Stony Brook, because I applied for work, and that was when AT&T and we had a little bit of a dot-com kaboom in the 90s.
Hmm.
So I was interviewing all over the place. They were giving you these like logic tests. You had to pass that test in round one, and then you got into round two. It was just like a mission. So I would get to round two, but I never had job experience, so I wouldn't get an offer. And in grad school, like I interned at NASA, so like I had a little bit of experience, just not full-time experience. And so I ended up doing a master's, and then after that I got into IBM, and that was my first real job in the real world as a developer. And yeah, so I think in some point starts their career in IBM or something, but I ended up working in Poughkeepsie, which was
Oh, did
upstate.
you? Oh, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so when you, I'm thinking, from Long Island closer to the city to home, and then you go up to Poughkeepsie. Where were your parents at that time? Were they accepting of you going up to Poughkeepsie as a woman? And B, how does that? But let's pull it also continue. That confidence, because I'm seeing this thread of pushing through with courage with the challenges, so to speak, and then building that confidence. And there's beautiful Maria.
Hi,
Hello,
Maria.
hello.
Oh my God, the Long Island crew is growing here.
Yes,
So
exactly. That's so
So
true.
for me, when I finished up grad school, I ended up going back, and I was going to do my PhD over at Columbia. They had a teacher's program in instructional technology, and I wanted to get into instructional design and all of that. And I thought I was going to be developing like children's software, and I was super
Mhm.
super duper excited. And as I was in school, my mom got diagnosed. That by then they were living in Florida. They only went to the Dominican Republic for 1 year, and then now they were living in Florida. And then I ended up having the opportunity to like really just dive into that space and like understand like, hey, like I'm going to be able to go to do something bigger with this PhD. But my mom got diagnosed, 30 days to live. She had breast cancer, and everyone just moved, like literally picked up, dropped everything, and just moved to Florida. And then she made it through the summer, and she was like, okay, I think it's in remission. I don't think I think I'm good. You should go back to school. Like she kept pushing me to go back to school, pushing me. She's like, you got to finish. And then she's like, you didn't just get into any school, you have student loans, like make sure that you finish. And I was like, all right. And she was diagnosed like in early May of 94, and she was fine. So I ended up coming back, started going through school. And that following year in May, she was in the hospital. And when I came down, we lost her Mother's Day morning. So May 14th, she passed away Mother's Day morning. And it was literally, she was waiting for me to come, because when I was 5, I made her promise me that she would just live forever. And as a 5-year old, a mom would tell you, yeah, I'm going to live forever. So I would always tell her, like, remember, you promised me you'd be around forever. And
Mhm.
now we're older, and then it was just like, for me seeing her like that, I was like, mom, if you're holding on for me, like
Mhm.
I don't want to see you like this. And
Mhm.
then she ended up like just passing away that following morning. But it
Mhm.
was just one of those, she was my rock, my literally my like support system in
Mhm.
every possible way of that word. And I just felt like the floor under me just went away.
Mhm.
It literally just went away. And I was in school, like I wasn't like working anywhere, and it was just like one of those things where it's just like I wanted to drop out of school. I literally took some time off just to breathe. And then after that, I said, you know what, my mom's sacrifice can't be in vain, and
Mhm.
everything that she taught me can't be in vain. Like, I have to keep going. I have to show her that I can get this done, that no matter what happens, she's able to really get this done for me.
Mhm.
And you know, I just kept going to like just make her proud of me. And I have a scholarship actually in Stony Brook that happens during Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's really just giving just extra book money to any female student in the STEM field, so that
Mhm.
they can, have some support along the way, because that's what she did for me. And I was just really happy about that, and
Mhm. Mhm.
appreciative of that. So.
Mhm. So, ladies that have just recently joined us, I just wanted to share a little bit about what, of course, tonight is confidence. And Dora and I, really were talking about how, as we discussed last night and last week. Hi, Pam. Good to see you again. And Jeanette and Maria and Renee, welcome, welcome. We were talking last week specifically about courage, but as I shared last week and reiterated with Dora that, courage, often people say, clarity and then confidence. Well, you got to build that courage to gain that confidence. You build the courage to gain the confidence. And so that's what we've been talking about, how they're hand in glove. And that Dora was sharing about going to the university out in New York University in Stony Brook, and but her parents didn't want her to, and that's a whole cultural thing. But they went back to Dominican Republic for a bit, and then came back. But again, she was building her academic life there. But always, as we know, Dora Maria Clubhouse, that support person, and that person that is there for everyone, but um, that heart, like her children's book that she wrote, meaning is she's always been with that fiber of giving back and helping others, but specifically kids. That's she was speaking about her undergraduate work, which she was thinking of that she was going to go into STEM years and years ago prior to. And so what you came in hearing was when she had tremendous adversity with her mother's illness, but then pulling herself up from the bootstraps there and saying no, no, no. So that, but building that courage and then helping to flower that confidence. And then, or also the other thing you said, Dora, that um, early on as a young person speaking Spanish, and there's so many similarities, Miss Maria Lind, with her story, but speaking Spanish at home, and then going out to school and with kids speaking English and not really knowing English and making up words with adding a vowel at the end, but you know but being an Italian, I mean, that's kind of what we do anyway. So, but anyhow, but just technically what I'm sharing is that courage and then that confidence. But I also shared earlier, guys, that I went into Jude's room this probably around 11 o'clock Eastern. And she was talking, about her Colby and building her, people's careers and so forth. But then I wanted to mention that Dora Maria was going to be with us tonight on the Propel Deep Dive. So I shared something. I have no idea what I said. But what I did say was that tonight was on confidence. And I reiterated about the 5 C's and the Propel, your business and life activation program, and that it's based on the 5 C's and mentioned them. But tonight is confidence. So that's a long story to get to that she said, Miss Jude shared how in training and working with C-suite executives, how so many of them have no confidence. And she said, Megan, it's amazing. That's great that you're focusing on this and tying. And she said, having courage before confidence, because they. And her point was, Dora, that they did well in school, got a big fancy Dan job, but didn't really go through the struggles that you went through, that built that courage, that gained that confidence. And she was saying how they would say, "Well, thank you so much, Jude, for helping me build my confidence." And she said, "Oh, no, no, I didn't help you at all. I'm just shining a light to the fact that you really do know what you're doing, but you've got to gain that courage to understand that you have confidence. So you really do have confidence." So anyway, I mentioned, Dora, that
I
Brian
just
has
want to
joined us.
highlight
Say it
with
again,
Dora. I just wanted to highlight that Dora always
please.
promoting the kids and sharing confidence in them. She has this "You Are Beautiful" book that I'm holding right here. And it really, I love reading it to my youngest, even my eldest, because I do this mirror work with them about affirmations. And when she was talking about being bilingual, and it really helps saying "You are kind," "Tú eres amable," "I am kind," "Yo soy amable." It's so cool to have that to start them young and instill that confidence in them, so that they can grow into a confident person. We have Patricia Rue in the Facebook page saying, "Love me some Dora Maria." So she said
Yeah, and
hello.
you know something, Angeline, that book has a double affirmation. So the person reading it is also getting affirmed because it's saying you are beautiful, but then in the next page it's saying I am beautiful because we grow up not be I was a latchkey kid. I don't know about y'all, but I was a latchkey kid. Like I went to school, I was given that magic key to open the house, and somehow I had to magically get home every day and get there alive, right? So I was on my own in 7th and 8th grade, right? So and even in high school. So it was just like I- you end up growing up, you don't really have that support system. And then you start seeing how other kids get spoken to by their parents and the kids speaking to each other. It was just really sad. And now, at least back when I was a kid, it wasn't as bad. But now you see these kids, they're mean. They're mean to the teacher, they're mean to the parents, they're mean to their friends. I'm like, what is happening here? It's just like, so I'm like, you know what? We need to hit these kids a lot younger so that maybe, just maybe, they grow up feeling like so confident, their self esteem so solid that they don't have to worry about these bullies or someone, speaking down to them. They can turn around and say, you know what? You must have had a hard day. If you need to talk, let me know. Instead of saying, oh, see you outside at 3 o'clock, we're going to duke this out. No, there's going to be words of kindness and love because they are so full of love and self esteem and confidence that it doesn't matter if a kid is coming and bullying them. They're going to see through that and see through that kid's heart and know that that kid's in pain, and it's a cry for help, not a cry to go fight and do something like that.
It's a, like you just said, start younger so that they
Yeah.
understand that foundation that has become part of them. Like you said, latchkey. If they don't have any real foundation, it is tragic, just
And
tragic.
hopefully it helps the parent be stronger and build their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Like if they haven't had that muscle built up, now
Mhm.
they can feel they're affirmed as well. And
Mm.
hopefully that also makes a big difference in
Uh-huh.
that capacity as well.
Yes. It's funny, talking about this. I know you would have, Angeline, but I was reading it the other night and I was thinking about all of the children that I know. I mean, I'm talking about little, that's when you're saying that I'm going to buy this and send it to their families because it is about that foundation. But Maria, I would like to ask you a question. Does Dora know anything about your mom and um, your nonprofit? Does she know anything about that?
I'm not
No.
sure. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
No, she says no. Okay. So I'm going to set the stage here. What you shared, Dora Maria, is there's so many parallels with your stories. Um, Maria is Italian. You're, Spanish, and but her mother was her rock, and her mother passed away. And so, why don't you take it from there, Maria, and share what you've put together, following in for your mother's memory? Because you both live near each other, for God's sakes. Hello. So please take it away.
trying. I'm working through it. um,
I mean, I could tell the story, but it's not my story to tell. You know.
I know, but I've been fighting back the tears since I walked in and heard her talking about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So let me. Okay, you collect yourself and
Help me out. Thank
yes.
you.
Okay. Well, first off, I think I'm looking at the stage here and the screen, and we all have um, families, and we all have challenges, like you shared. I mean, my gosh, the ins and outs, but the deep, deep, deep is the root of love. Deep, deep, deep is the root of love, and um, regardless of what happens in life, it's that memory, it's that holding dear that person. And it is really that foundation. And I personally think that what resonates us all on Breakfast with Champions is that fiber and thread of love, that family, that sense of family. And our dear friend Glenn, who's brilliant in his articulation and writing and communicating, brilliant. Um, is that glue, but he's like our brother. I mean, he could be my son, but that's another story. But the thing is that it's that fiber of love. I see everyone's head shaking, yes. And so that's what I love about doing things like this is because we are on not just Breakfast with Champions, but even with the conference. We got to know each other a little bit better, but still, there's 70 people. You're not going to sit around and go deep dive. And so, I put this program together. I put it together 2 years ago after I sold part of my business, and COVID was on, and entertaining myself. But it's incumbent upon me, I feel, to break it down into small, manageable parts and help others. And the more I'm doing this, like as Angeline calls it, Dora, I've taken my lampshade off of my life. And the more I do this, I recognize that it's that connection, that centrifugal force to us all. So I met Maria Lind. And I'm sure, before I say this, I'm sure you've had this experience many times, Dora, that people come up to you and say, "Oh, Megan," or "Oh, Dora, what you said in the room of Babadoo Badoo," and you're like, "Oh, really? Did I say that?" You have no memory of that. But it's as that quote says, it's not what you say, it's how you make people feel. And that's what you've been doing since you were a little girl. So I went to Kentucky to Glenn's 1,000th, but I couldn't stay more than Friday because I had commitment to a nonprofit that I'm on the board, and I had to leave Friday night. But I was there Thursday, and I went to the Rise and Grind gang, had a dinner, and I was in this restaurant. And Maria and other folks like Maria came in who had not been a Rise and Grinder all those years, but had heard we were at XYZ restaurant. So she came in and she came up to me and she said, I want to introduce myself. I'm so and so, Maria Lind, and I just want to let you know that you made such a difference in my life when you said, joy. I choose joy. Well, technically, that's Danelle Delgado, with her book. But I mean, again, why did I choose that opening song, Dora? Because joy, that is so very important. It's like hope, peace, love, joy, because those are things that you choose. You choose to stay in those places. So, but that's how I first met Maria. And so, we talked that evening, but then, of course, I didn't see her much the next day because then I left.
Wait, can I interrupt you?
Yeah, okay. I just said I'd take it on until you could.
So I just want to go back to that. Megan's words were, exactly, lean on the joy.
Okay.
And so, because my mother was a worrier, she called 20 times a day. If we didn't pick up, she'd call 25 times a day. And so I felt like my mom died worrying. And I inherited that a little bit. And so I was worrying about my boys all the time and my brothers because I inherited my brothers as my children. And so I just didn't want, my mother was a faithful woman. She prayed all the time. She prayed in tongues. She definitely, like, she was my rock, right? So you're talking, I walked in on you, Dora Maria, talking about your mom. And that's why I couldn't speak a few minutes ago. But that day on Breakfast with Champions, Megan was talking about joy. Well, she said, lean on the joy, not the worry. Those were her words exactly. And those words have changed my life because fast forward earlier this year or late last year, I learned Nehemiah 8:10. Joy is your strength. And I also learned that the enemy doesn't attack your family or anything. The enemy attacks your joy to make you weak. And so it tied all together. So I have this connection to Megan. I literally, when I heard she was at that restaurant, I stopped everything I was doing. I needed to go to her. I needed to let her know the impact on those words. And I didn't even really know the impact on the words until I learned about Nehemiah 8:10. My mom, she's my rock even now. I do something for her every January. I have her show every year. I hope you'll come January 28th, 2024. And my mom's my rock. So I walked in here and you were talking about your mother. So that's why I couldn't speak. But Megan,
I'm gonna make
you,
one comment to you, Maria, because we've crossed paths a few times and we've gotten to speak in person. And you do have a beautiful soul, a beautiful heart. And I'm gonna challenge you to think of your mom reaching out and calling just her way of showing you that she loved you. And
Yeah.
that's it. Don't attach a meaning that she was worried. Just attach the meaning that when she passed away loving you hard. And every time she called, it was just like, hey, honey, my baby girl, like, I love you. And think about it in that way because that's how I see my mom. Like, she did everything she could to give us a better life. She came to this country, didn't really know the language. People make up words in my family, like everyone does, especially my grandma when she was alive. So I know, like, no matter how she showed it, because I really feel like our parents didn't really know how to show it. Like, when you know better, you do better. But that was her way of showing you that she loved you. It was like my grandmother. Every time she cooked for like a meal of five. I would get home and I'm like, "Who's coming over?" And it was like five like mounds of food. I'm like, "Grandma, you know I'm not having triplets or anything, right? Like I'm not even pregnant. Like why are we having so much food on this plate?" So I didn't want to say no to her, but I finally had to start saying things like that for her to realize it's a lot of food. And still, it was just her way of showing me that she loved me. So I stopped complaining and I said, "Thanks, Grandma." And then I would eat until I couldn't eat no more because my eyes were like glazed over. And then I would take the rest for lunch to work because I didn't want her to feel that I didn't receive her love. And your mom, her way of connecting with you was calling you. And so if you see it that way, that's my challenge for you, Maria, because I really feel that your mom loved you so much
Oh, yes.
that that was her way of reaching out and connecting with you.
Yes. 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 And that really fits beautifully into courage and confidence because if you step back, all of us, I'm talking to myself as well, if you
Yeah.
step back with things that are attacking you, so to speak, you think, the battlefield is in the mind. And if you step back and see the genesis of it, it has less power over you. And, but as I said earlier, Maria and everyone, the root is love. What you just said, Dora. The root is love. She loved you so that she called, 20, 25 times, But she was a beautiful, she had she was a beautiful a singer, but she put on you're going to have to share what this is because I'm going to butcher it.
It's a singing competition, and she hosted the show for 20 years. So in January,
Wow.
it will be the 29th year. So yeah, we're continuing in her honor and her memory, and we're bringing people to Italy because the first place winner wins a trip to Italy, and that's in September. So I'm excited about that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, and when we were at the um, Airbnb the first night, or maybe it wasn't the first night, I don't remember, but Holy Spirit just gave her a Holy Spirit unction to give um, Tina Wilson, stars Tina, from her mother's nonprofit, a donation for her nonprofit.
Yeah. Yeah. One day I was in this room right here and I heard mother gift. I don't know what I heard, but I just knew I had to give Tina some money for her son's profit. So it was mother to mother. It wasn't for Maria at all. It was my mother to Tina the mother for her son. And so, because my mother was all about her children, it was so fast. I can't even explain it. It was weird,
Well,
but
you
I
were
just knew
guided.
I had to be obedient. So I wrote the check. I just wrote the check. My mother told me to do it. I It wasn't me. I can't
So
take.
I do want to ask Angeline a question. Angeline, is Dr. D still here? And because I don't see Brian, his name on the screen, have they left us? Angeline,
Dr. D is here.
Dr. D is there. Hello, Dr. D. And
Hey, darling.
So we have a lot. We have a full panel, Megan. We have Pam here. We have Dr. D here. We have
Angeline, there's
Brian.
there's some
We have
feedback.
Fergie. I'm gonna mute you, Dr. D, because there's feedback when you're unmuted. And then we have Renee. So we have a full house. If you want to say hi to everyone.
Yes, I would love to. And
And
this
Kelly is
Kelly.
here. Hello, hello. I'm going to remove myself so I can bring Melody back up, but I only a certain amount can be on the panel at once. So
Okay,
I'll
okay, all right, okay. So, folks, what I'd love to open up, and I don't know, Dora, if you know any of these gals. I think you do know Pam, from BWC. But, and Brian, you may know Brian. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Namski, Brian, yeah.
Yes, yes, good, 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 good. So with that said, I would love to open the room to you, ladies and gentlemen, about tonight. We're speaking about confidence. And, we also, as I shared earlier, that there's a strong connection with courage to confidence. Courage will, you build that courage muscle, gain that confidence. And all of you are just soldiers and fighters and really actualizers in life. And I'd love you just to share what your thoughts are.
Well, hi.
Hi. Hello, Dee. Hello, Denise. Hello, hello.
Confidence is a big deal for me. I talked a little bit about it with Breakfast with Champions a while back. Um, Lost my son in 2010, and I was on top of the world when it happened. I was doing a lot of speaking at different engagements. I was writing, directing, and producing productions throughout the city of Alexandria. Everything was awesome. Life was great. Lost my son, and life changed. The new normal came with a lack of confidence. Um, I don't know how to describe it other than to say um, I was a I was known by my community as one of the most resilient, if you will, a person who was always on top of the game and just after my son died, everybody was like seemed like they were waiting to see if I was going to break, if I was going to fall. And so for me, confidence is really big because I did break a year after my son's death, and I had to give in to the grief, the stages of grief that you go through, and I moved out of that, and as I said, into a new normal where I didn't do as much speaking. I did more creating and stayed in the frame of writing, directing, and producing. And so that's a behind the scenes kind of thing. And that was easy for me. It was comfortable, and I was able to do it without any concern. But one day the Lord spoke to me and said, "I need to start speaking again." And of course, my heart began to beat out of my chest, like, "Oh, I don't know about that." I don't know. I think confidence, like you just said, has is connected to courage.
Mhm.
And I don't like to view myself as a person who doesn't walk in courage and bravery and all of those things. We don't like to say that we walk that we're engaging in the spirit of fear. But in all actuality, if I was to be honest with myself, it was the fear, and I had to identify what was the fear. Why was I so fearful? And you know, you get these preconceived views after you've been walking with God for 30 years as a minister of the gospel that, you know, almost like people don't see you as just being a person who can break, or a person who can bleed, and a person who hurts just like everyone else. And I just felt like, people were looking at me from a whole different perspective that um, I couldn't, I couldn't find my place. I couldn't find my place anymore. I don't know how to describe that right now, but that's what it felt like. I couldn't find my place. Like, how do I
Mhm.
present myself now? The confidence that I had before, that was shaken. So now, how do I present myself on this other side, um, where I had to endure this horrible tragedy? So but I feel like I was listening to Breakfast with Champion, for a while every morning, and Glenn was really speaking into my life, and Brad was speaking into my life, and David was speaking into my life, and I mean, people were just speaking into my life, and I would lay in my bed early in the morning. I just started crying. Asking God, please show me, why am I struggling with my confidence? Where is the lack of courage? Why am I walking in this fear? And I believe today I'm talking better. I'm talking now. If you all, those who were there with Breakfast with Champion, I was just, oh my goodness, that was a whole nother world on Clubhouse, because, people can't see you like they can't see me now because I took my thing off, um, but they could hear me. And I just felt like I was in another communication world where, how do I handle this? But anyway, at the end of the day, I believe today, and I believe that I'm living witness because, as Megan knows, I'm talking today, and I'm not talking with any inhibitions. I feel like I've picked up in the area of courage and confidence and bravery. And I think what one of the things that helped me that Glenn had said was, oh, I think it was Glenn who talked one morning on 1, 2, 3, go. I think that's what it
Mhm.
was. 1, 2, 3, go. And I am that type of a person. That was my life before I went through that horrible tragedy. I was able to walk in 1, 2, 3, go. I walk by faith and not by sight, and I would just do without giving any thought to it. And so when he said that, that really spoke to my spirit, and I let that be my guide today. Every time I find myself in a situation, I say 1, 2, 3, just go, just speak, just say, just do, and don't be concerned with how it's going to come out. Just open your mouth and say what's in your heart, and whatever comes out, your heart, how you love you, and how you love God, and how you love people. So you're going to say the right thing. You're going to be in the right frame of mind. You're going to be, you know what I'm saying? So today I feel like a whole new person. I'm so blessed. I feel so encouraged, and now I'm ready to just take what the Lord told me, that my son's life would mean more in his death than it did in his life. And I'm ready to take his life and what he suffered and what he went through and impact another generation of young people who need the support, they need the help, they need the advocacy. I'm ready. I feel that I can speak now. I can talk. I have that courage, have that bravery, and I got my confidence back. So in that, I just hope I said something that would help somebody. But I feel encouraged today. And so when I saw this was on confidence, and I was in the middle of doing some things, I said, stop, 1, 2, 3, just go, because it's time for you to speak, and it's time for you to encourage others who may be where I was and need that push, that opportunity to feel that ability to be able to do something that they didn't think they could do. So on that note, thank you.
So Denise, I want to introduce you to Dora Maria because
Hey
Dora,
Dora, I saw
Dora,
Dora every morning
I
for a whole
understand,
year.
I understand, but Dora and, excuse me, Denise, Dora needs one of your books, okay? And I'd like you to take a minute to share Dora, her book is such a dovetail to your book. It's for the next generation, meaning a little bit older. It's like a track for kids in school, but it's not. It's like they're talking jive, you know, and it is amazing. And so, Dora, I'm going to get, Dora, Denise, I'm going to get Dora's address and we're going to send her one of your books because you guys also need to know each other on that level. And so I'm so proud that you came in tonight, Denise. And God has a plan, and you need to know Tina Wilson, who lost her son. And there's so much synergy that that we don't even know the half of it. We really don't. We just have to
Well,
be open, willing vessels. Yes, dear.
I wanted to say, um, I do know Tina, stars Tina. She and I and you and all of us, we were over at in what was that, Nashville, and so I know stars, and but we were also in what was it, the women, the moms link.
Oh, yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but I want to tell
Yes.
you, Megan, I changed the book cover. I told you that book cover just didn't sit well with me. In January, the Lord told me to put my son's picture on that front cover. So now the cover has been refurbished, and it's now my son at 15 years old. So I feel so good about it. It's really amazing. And Dora, I wanted to tell you, I have seen your book everywhere on Clubhouse with Christina and everybody. I've seen your book. I just haven't had I don't know how to get it. Is it on Amazon?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, mine is on Amazon too. It's called Tag Your It. Tag Your
Tag your
It.
it. Okay.
Yeah. You are apostrophe YOU apostrophe RE it. You're it. And it's, you got to put my name in there with it until I get enough sales. It won't connect unless you put my name, Denise Wilkins. But I will get your book because I saw that Christina spoke highly of it as well. And I kept saying I need to get Dora's book, but I just have not, didn't know too much about it. But I'm glad we're having this opportunity to talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, these hours, Angeline, I think we need to do 2 hours, we talk all night maybe. But it does, I see your beautiful face, Pam, and like you had shared last week that you had been off of Clubhouse for a while and joined us last week, which was such a blessing to me to have you with us. I'd like to ask you, and this is kind of just a kind of barometer. Have you been enjoying? Oh, and there's Brian. Hello, hello. Do you enjoy this format?
Yes, I actually do. I thank you for inviting me in tonight to be back here with you guys on stage. It's really nice to interact visually, with everyone and have the questions coming in. And I enjoyed that on courage last week. I did have one thing I wanted to share on the confidence, if I can share real quick.
Please.
I'm reading John C. Maxwell's book, The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication. And I was just saw this, that confidence is about passion and belief in your ability to make things happen. Oh, this is what I read. I underlined it. So be courageous to do it scared. And I can definitely relate, with the doctor talking, or Denise. I'm not sure. I couldn't see your face, but you go through so many things, and it does chip away at your confidence, and you do have to build that back up. But it does start within us, to do that. We are enough, and we can get back up. It's just one little small change, one little small action, just like starting to talk again, her starting to speak again. I mean, she is anointed servant of God, and I would love to have you speak on my TV show if you would love to. You are enough, because people need to know that they matter and that they are enough. I would love that.
Absolutely. You will, right, Denise? Yes. Yes. Anyway, but we can connect everyone together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And when is your show, Pam?
It's going to be on Tuesdays starting in May. And I am pre-recording. I might do some live, but it's at 5 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, on the E360 network TV.
Okay, wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. And Brian, welcome again tonight. And Dora, Brian, and Brian shared last week, about wanting to get together in real time, with friends from the New York area. So I said, you know what, I'm going to work on that. And so we'll have a meet and greet of some level. Would you like to put that together with me and Maria? Dora, I'm talking. Yes. Unmute.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we need to. I mean, I don't live in New York anymore, but I would love to come this summer. Well, I'm coming to your book program in August 5th. Is that what it is, Maria? You're muted.
Yes, that's the date.
Okay.
That's the date. I'm just waiting to hear
We're
back from.
waiting to confirm.
I called them again today. They're like a little backlogged. So yeah, I messaged Amelia too, and I'm like, I'm working on it.
So it might be September 5th, right?
No.
No.
We're aiming for August 5th. Let's put it out there.
Okay. Well, I wrote it in my calendar, because
Carl Place, Long Island. So
okay.
and I think Megan, you're staying at my house, right?
100%. 100%.
No.
Yes. And Miss Renee, thank you for joining us. You were not there last week, but in Dallas, but you were surely there last week in Dallas, Renee.
Thank you.
You were spoken about very highly and often. So,
Was I?
yes.
My ears were burning, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Was that?
No, you're Tina's Renee, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, Tina and I are friends, but DoraMaria, you have no idea how many times I get told, you're the DoraMaria of Elite Stars. Because I'm an engineer, but what I do for them, yes, I'm actually an engineer for EXP Realty.
Oh.
But yeah, so we made that connection, and I do the music for BWC 2 or 3 days a week at 4:55. So, but the book is really, I think anyone really can make a connection to that book. I don't know if you remember several weeks back. I've been doing music for. I hear somebody coming through. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I hear you well. I don't know what that is. Keep going.
Okay. A few weeks ago, I told my story on BWC during one of Tina's segments. of things that, and then I highlighted a little bit on the last day when I joined you guys virtually when you were still in Dallas.
Connection.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting a call, but there's not a lot you can tell young children about what happened to me to have them avoid it without frightening them, because their minds cannot comprehend that, at a very young age. But they can understand instilling confidence and knowing that they have a voice and being able to speak and feel strong and empowered by that. So that's what I wanted to share about the book.
Well, thank you, Renee. Again, I love how Angeline put it as a backdrop to our images. I just love it. Thank you. I just want to say hi to Mary Kim for joining this evening. You're such a sweetheart, Mary Kim, and I love your comments, and they're just so special. One of these years, you need to come on in real time here and join us, in real time. So that would be great. So, as we close, and Kelly, there you are. Yes. Would you like to share? You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Perfectly. Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
And my name is Kelly. I live in Minnesota. I thank you for inviting me on the show. I have been on Breakfast with the Champions almost 2 years in August, and I rarely speak. That is my problem. I have a issue. I have a hard time just articulating, I think, on the app, and I don't know why. I'm getting ready for work. I get up at 4. I've followed the guidelines of changing my inside out, and I'm working on my inside still, and my outside I've been getting up at 4, getting on my stationary bike. I ride 5 miles, and then I turn on BWC, listen to Glenn, and I read my Bible, and I do my meditation, and I have this routine, but I just can't seem to articulate the changes that I've been experiencing in this world. So I know I have to do that. And I appreciate Dr. D was talking about just being able to speak and just let it flow. And I have that problem that I just feel like I'm not going to sound intelligent enough or be able to say the right words that I want to say. I've had this problem all my life. And yet there's times where I have to be improvising with people, and I entertain people, and I can do it. I can make people laugh like crazy. But when it comes to being serious and talking out of a character format, I just kind of freeze. And so I have struggled that since I can remember. And I have granddaughters now, and I really want to get DoraMaria's book. I have a 13-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So I'm not sure if those ages are the good ages to be reading that book. But they lack confidence, and there's a lot of family dynamics in my world, and I don't want to need to go into that, but I have an array of things that I really am working on. I want to write a book. I'm currently trying to do that. It's called Truth Is. I've been through a lot of hardships and a lot of surgeries in the last 3 years, so I have come a long way. I wasn't even able to walk for a period of time, so I am now in a place where I can't even believe what I'm capable of doing. So, I mean, I'm 64. I'm not young. I'm still trying to strive for all the dreams that I've had all my life. And I know it's never too late. And that's why I keep listening every morning, because I want to build my courage, and I want to be strong and courageous. And I have a lot to give the world. And I adore my family. Sorry.
No. Well, I just want to say you have courage and confidence to come in this evening. I appreciate you receiving our invitation, but to come up on this screen and speak, that takes courage. and you're building your confidence. So I would love to invite you to join us every Thursday night. And,
Sure.
this platform is for everyone. And also, Dora keeps changing my times, but that's okay. That's okay. Uh, I just follow instructions. But I think I have a Tuesday at 10:30, and you're welcome to speak anytime, Kelly. And just share. Because my platform is really about propelling your life, but also about it's never too early or too late to create the life of your dreams. And it's never
So
too
happy you're here, Kelly. I don't want to
Thank you.
interrupt
I
today.
do know that. I didn't mean
Patricia
to get emotional,
Brew.
but I've been my family has meant the world to me, and I'm a single mom. I have 3 daughters and I have 8 grandkids. So that's what my why is. So as long as I keep that focus, I will be fine, and I
Yeah.
will get to where I need to be. I will.
I love
And
it.
And I
And
that,
thank you for your
Patricia has
support.
offered to talk to you. She says, Kelly, we all have that fear. Let's talk. She is on Instagram. Her handle is trisha.talk. So she'd like to connect with you, Kelly. And then Mary Kim also commented, yes, all that. And Kelly, age means nothing. As long as you're breathing, you still have the opportunity to do all the things. So you have the support of this whole entire community. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to share those comments. And Patricia said, Kelly, we're all very so similar. So thank
I
you.
just want to say that as a former math teacher of adolescent students, I do believe that uh, that age group, Kelly, is the best age group to let them know that they are beautiful. So, yeah, it's age appropriate for all 3 of those ages that you mentioned, because that is a very confusing time, especially early teenagers. When I was teaching 7th and 8th graders, and I did that for 13 years, I can tell you that the insecurity level is high, the self doubt level is high. I can also tell you that they weren't sure if their reaction to inappropriate things was correct. Um, Although it was correct, they weren't really sure that it was. So they need to know that they are beautiful, they are valid, they are seen, they are heard. So Dora Maria's book at early adolescent age is super important. And I will scream that on the rooftops all day long.
And Kelly, just so you know, that book, I am donating it to orphanages. I'm donating it to foster homes. I'm donating it to senior centers because a lot of us, even as adults or even as grandparents or, great aunts, uncles, even if you don't have children, the message in that book is to strengthen you and your heart and your soul inside so that you can have that confidence to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, like you're amazing. And a lot of our seniors don't even feel that. Someone told me that, and I was like, "You're giving it to a senior?" And they were like, "Yeah, this affirms everyone. It's not just the children." And I was like, "Wow." So I literally put that in a message. Like, if you don't have kids, like, please think about giving it to a senior center, orphanage, or a foster home, or a place that has foster kids, because these are the people that don't feel the warmth and the love of the community. Sometimes you have some seniors in senior centers that don't even have family alive anymore. So you get to look at that and kind of look at, wow, that's that's a lot to take in sometimes, but just a little kindness that we can give and show someone else, another human being, it goes a long way.
Great. Thank you.
Or show it to ourselves, right? Right, Dora?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I passed that lack of confidence and lack of self-esteem onto my daughters and my granddaughters. I feel like that's something that since I've lacked it, I've passed it on. And one of my granddaughters tried to commit suicide a few weeks ago. So that's one of my concerns of hers, is that I have desperately want to help her. And I think that's where my emotions come in. But her sister is also at risk. So I'm very concerned about kids right now. I think it's across the board, not just my granddaughters that have touched my soul for that, but it's across the board. So it's really becoming more of a high risk for a lot of teens, preteens too.
Yeah.
So
They've gone through COVID. They've gone through COVID. They've gone through these last 3 years without connection, without like if you remember when you were in school, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna go see my friends. Like you didn't even care you had homework because you're gonna go see your friends,
Yeah.
and you had that connection, and they didn't have that. And the virtual space, it's okay for a little while, but that doesn't replace that human energy, right? So, and I think a lot of these young people ended up dealing with a little bit of what the adults were feeling, and in their own way have also taken that in. Like they also need that like detox of emotion too, because they've been through it. They've been through it, and I'm sure a lot of it'll be interesting to see what they create to manage emotions and those feelings as a generation, because they got to deal with it so early, so early.
Can I respond to that? The Lord spoke to me as I was
Well,
writing
I'll be
Tag Your
hopping on
It,
there to order those
and
books.
he's one of the things the Lord said to me is that our youth today are born into darkness because they are the light. They were born into this darkness because they are the light, and we have to help to um, help them to get to that place where they can begin to operate as the light. And so the book Tag Your It, by the way, has information in there too that speaks to young people who are feeling suicidal. So that could possibly be something that uh, is good for your granddaughter. I don't know how old you said she was.
I can't hear.
She's asking what
Oh,
are
you
the
couldn't
ages?
hear me?
I
My
can
my,
hear you.
my
The age
granddaughters,
of the
Yes.
13, 11, and 9, and then there's a 7-year-old.
yes.
And I saw a Snapchat of one of my granddaughters. She did send it to me, and I tell you, it broke my heart. And she was showing half of her face with a tear, and it said, "I am stupid. I am ugly. I am not worthy." And it just brought me to tears. And I thought, where's this coming from? So I
Well,
just had to share that because that's why I really feel your book is going to be very valuable for her, especially for her and her sister too. So I just had to share that. That's just really like, we're talking about kids, so
Oh, sure.
they're close to
And
my heart. So that's,
Angelina, I want you to come on the screen for a minute, please. If you could. Can you? Or are there too many people on the screen? You can take me off if you need to. Um, I just want to, I want to share about the Kingdom Sparkle Sisterhood, Angeline, because I know in my spirit, and Dora Maria, I want you to listen to this, please. um, when I met Angeline and her Faith Forward Summit, and speaking of, the essence of what that is. What you're sharing, Kelly, it's an epidemic, and we all need prayer and to be sisters and brothers in prayer for each other. And so I don't know how this is going to grow or manifest. The Holy Spirit does, though. And so I'd like you to share your heart about the not summits and not business, but about God. I'd like you to share that, please.
For me, it's always been about faith, and as I continue to lean into what He has for my plans, and is it a
I
good plan
can't
or
hear
a
her.
God plan? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, fine.
Okay. Um, is it a good plan or a God plan? Um, where the Kingdom Sparkle Agency and where the Kingdom Sparkle Sisterhood all derive from and community is so important is because His kingdom is needs to grow, and the only way to do that we are all divinely created with our own unique sparkles, and my mission and vision and heart that He's given me as a gift is to help activate, align, and amplify that in others so that they can really see
Megan,
that.
I can't hear her.
Can you guys hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. Sorry you can't hear me, Kelly.
Yeah,
But
I can't hear.
to me, it's about community. So,
So basically, Kelly, so first off, on the chat, Mary Kim Farkas is she said, Kelly, I'm creating online community mentoring our youth. I'll send you the link to have you and your children join. This is Mary Kim Farkas.
Okay.
Okay. So can you hear me, Kelly?
I can hear you, but I just couldn't hear her.
Okay. So what she really was saying, what Angeline was saying, is that there's a foundation that she's putting together. It will grow, but where women and men can come together and just, pray and have a connection. So, just follow Angeline Moore, as well as her Kingdom Sparkle Agency, which is a business, but she has a heart to minister and have a safe prayer connection place.
Sure. I am a prayer warrior myself, so I will definitely follow her.
Yes, she's a beautiful woman inside and out. Yes. So absolutely. But also Mary Kim, she will be reaching out to you, Kelly. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Miss Birdie and Christine, I don't know if you can see us hear or speak. We're going to end the evening, but I don't want to end before having you speak if you'd like to and like to share. Okay. That would be fine. Okay, so I'm always amazed, Dora, always amazed how, and I really am amazed every week, every time. And Maria's often here, but and certainly Angeline is here every week with me, and I'm always amazed how. And I find this also in the Heartlink, my Tuesday afternoon room, which has no topic. How the Holy Spirit comes in and just moves the furniture and creates connections. But with this Propel, which
I want to pause, Megan, before you go on. Brian didn't get to share yet. If you'd like to unmute and share tonight, Brian, would you like to share?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Angeline.
Yeah, I understand. Things can get forgotten, and
No, I just felt that when I was talking about New York, you might have wanted to pop in then, but I should have formally invited you to speak. So please do.
all good, all good.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I've been popping in and out in terms of when I'm listening in, when I was not on camera, but yeah, confidence. Um, you know, I've I've been working on it, as many of you know, and it's it's a million miles better than it was, um, even just 10 years ago, uh, or maybe even 5 years ago. Um, so, because I've only been at networking specifically for like almost 4 years now. And I'm working on being more confident in how I handled things in terms of the potential meetups. It's funny as I went to an event tonight at a town where Barbara Majeski lives, and I actually invited her to the event, but she couldn't come, and neither could another friend of hers who I don't know if Molly Dare has participated with the Breakfast with Champions, but I know she's known by a number of people from BWC. But like I said, I understand that sometimes it's just hard for people, and especially those who have done it longer than I have. And I think where I lack, I don't know if I lack confidence or if I just feel confident that right now, like when I think about what I'm doing in the summer. I don't really think about any potential vacation or staycation with my immediate family. I think about it with you guys and other groups that I've met through all these platforms. And I think that's because, uh, it's not because I'm not confident in my love for everybody or for certain people. It's just because uh, I'm confident in the fact that I don't want to. I don't feel like I could spend so much time around them, if you know what I mean. So I I I lack it in the sense of expressing that um, to them, but I don't lack it in the sense that, like, yeah, I want to think about this stuff. I want to see what I can plan out, um, where I can connect the dots. So um, that's what I that's what's coming to my heart right now. So thank you for listening, and my heart goes out to all of you, um, especially your story, Maria. Um, and yeah, much love to everyone.
Well, Brian, let me make this perfectly clear. It took a lot of courage and then confidence to reach out and invite Barbara Majeski to whatever event you went to. You are a rock star, Buster. And so, again, Mary Kim also, that's passed on the chat. Jeannie Schneider is in the room, but Brian, you're amazing, and always showcasing a diagnosis doesn't determine your abilities. What you do make an impact to differently abled community, which plays into my son and his community. Keep showing up. Your courage and confident by being exactly who you are. I appreciate you. Mary Kim Farkas. Okay. So she said earlier, I'm coming to New York or it could be in Jersey, right? Dora will, and Maria will go to Jersey, whatever. We'll go wherever. So, again, navigating loud airport listening though. That was Jeannie saying navigating loud airports listening though. Well, safe travels wherever you are, my friend. Safe travels. Yes. So I started to say, and thank you, Angeline. She keeps me straight, Dora. She's my Dora, but uh, I just so appreciative of God's grace to give me the opportunity to do this platform and have you guys join us each week. And like these gals are on the Facebook group. Jeannie, I assume that is where she is. Yes, she's in Facebook. So, I do know that it's incumbent upon us in such a time as this that we must connect and stay connected. And it's so important. There's only so many hours in the day, and we're all very busy. But to take a step and to connect, it's very, very, very special. So I truly appreciate you. I don't have, each week people ask me, well, do you have a list of your guests? I have no idea. Sunday, technically, I say, okay, Lord, who should I ask? And, and then I get a kind of a Holy Spirit unction to someone or something. And so by Monday, I kind of have that percolating in me. So I don't know who will be with us next week, but I will be here and we will be doing, commitment, the fourth C. And
Okay.
they all play
Now,
and work
can we
together.
take a quick picture so
Yes.
that we get it? So if you can, 1, 2, 3, smile. I love it. My camera's showing in the picture, but Dr. D, do you want to unmute? Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Birdie, Miss Birdie, if you want to. Also, if not, you're good. And we invite you. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm gonna go now.
No, you don't need to go now. But again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining myself and Angeline and my special guest, DoraMaria, and who's going to be up very early in a couple of hours. So sweet dreams, my friend. Thank you. And everyone, I love you and thank you. Would you like to say
Thank
a parting word, Dora?
Yes, just try to see if you can do the rest of this month, which is only a few days, just bringing some joy and love and some kindness to those individuals around you. It just takes a little bit, a simple smile, simple smile.
A simple smile.
Thank you.
And with
Thank
that,
you.
we will say goodnight with a simple smile. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Are we alone?
Miss Birdie is still here. Move her. Okay. Yep. Now it's us.
Who
Wow.
is Miss Birdie? Who is Miss Birdie?
I'm not sure who she was, but she got in. So
Are you calling me?
I was looking through the contacts. I was like, but then when you reminded me of the clubhouse room, and then I put the StreamYard in there. I think I just need to put the registration instead, so that if whoever does come in, we know who they are.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we don't have trolls in there, but and the other person who didn't come on,
Christine, she said she said thank you for the offer. I hopped on late and she was driving, so she was
okay, gotcha.
she should
Okay,
follow. So I
good,
gave all the link trees in the chat.
good.
And Brian said, I also confident that hopefully I can contribute more to BWC. I'm not one to host long segments, but who knows? I
Right.
think he really enjoys your time. So
I think so too. I
I don't
do.
know what he does besides like just showing up and being him, like as far as like what else he does.
Brian,
Yeah. So
he
like
works.
have a
He
business.
works for a. Oh, what are they called? He works for a. I used to use them in Fort Worth for my business. He works for one of those nonprofits that do fulfillment and
Oh,
special need people.
oh, that's cool. That's
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. And he's worked his way up to a higher level. I couldn't tell you what that is, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he does. So
Oh,
what a nice evening, huh?
it was so good. It was so good. How did you feel about it?
Well, first off, I wish everyone had come in the first 30 minutes. I loved chatting with Dora and hearing, and a lot of that I knew.
Yeah.
So I wish that because they all started coming in around the same time, you
Yeah.
know? And so it was like at like around 8:25, and she had already shared, and I didn't feel that it was appropriate to have her, so I kind of recapped. But anyway, I thought it was fabulous. No, and what I also think, this is what I think, because I really have no idea. But today is my daughter Megan's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to her. I'm sure that's hard.
It is. But yet the hardest piece is that Amberly asked me to choose my birthday, so to speak. Okay. And she said, because then, there's 30-day milestones, 90, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is later this afternoon. And I, said, no, I think yesterday is the day, because again, it's the day I've committed to, commit. And
Yeah.
so anyway, as I was doing that, I looked at the date and it hit me. And it's like, oh my God, it's her birthday.
Oh,
And yeah, it's heartbreaking. But on the other side of it, and I don't speak about this. I mean, you and very few people, Maria doesn't really even know anymore.
yeah.
Because what I really want more than anything is to know. I mean, I know in my spirit, because the word says that me and my house will serve the Lord.
Yeah.
And that, and I may not be alive, but on the other side of the coin, I don't want to tarnish her reputation or speak things about my family, you know?
Mhm.
but I'm human. so, and so with that said, I just, and like what Maria said, lean into the joy. I ascribe to that, Angeline, you know that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but let me ask you this. When I asked you to come into the room because I felt so, oh, when she was speaking about, when I hear about these kids struggling as they are, it's just, they have no foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
And so when I heard her, I wanted to give people encouragement. And that's why I brought you in, for your Kingdom Sparkle global.
Movement. Yeah, yeah. It was. Um, do you know her outside of everything? Is she part of your contacts, or she's probably part of mine?
I have no idea who she is. I
Okay,
think I've seen
part
her.
of mine. She was added into my Faith Forward Summit list because
Oh,
I send it to my list and I send it to your list.
okay.
So when I do that, I have to forget which one's which. Um, so that's cool. So I'm glad that she decided to pop in because she's messaged me a couple times saying, she goes, "Who is this? How do you know me?" And I was like, "You subscribe to Faith Forward, and that's how you're on my list. If you don't want messages from me, that's fine. No big deal." So
So look how this is growing, Angeline.
yeah.
Yeah, yes. And so tell
Hold
me,
on. Are we still broadcasting?